Guys, what's going on? It's your boy RJ Game News USA here, back today with another top 10. And today I want to talk about my top 10 favorite horror movie twist of all time. So if you like this kind of content, like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And before we even jump to the list, I do want to give some honorable mentions here. One of the honorable mentions will be to Scream. And by the way, spoiler alert for the whole video, so just keep that in mind going forward. The original Scream and its reveal of its killer. Also, Halloween 4. The fact that the little girl Jamie picked up where Michael Myers did at the end. Good twist. Not excellent twist, but good. Now, as we get to this top 10 list, let me explain. These are not my all-time favorite movies. Some of these movies are just fine and have an excellent twist. Some of these movies are excellent and have an excellent twist. So, but the twists themselves here in this movie is what made it go on the list. Now, I will go ahead and say a movie like Midsommar isn't on here because Midsommar is just a crazy, loopy, wacky movie the entire time. Also, the twist does not have to occur at the very end. It could be at the beginning of the movie or the middle of the movie. Some shocking revelation. Speaking of which, we start with number 10 being The Visit. Not the first M. Night Shyamalan movie we'll see on this list, but this 2015 movie, indeed, it had one of his best twists. When you find out the kids visiting their grandparents aren't actually seeing their grandparents, they're seeing their grandparents' killers. And that when that was revealed, there was an audible gasp in theaters. I saw this movie in theaters, and it was an audible gasp, including from me. The twist was so well done. And this could be an example where the twist itself was better than the movie itself. And obviously, M. Night Shyamalan is the greatest twister of all time. And there's plenty of movies that could make this list. And he does have a few more on here, by the way. But The Visit definitely had an excellent twist that was very memorable to me. Number 9, Malignant. And this won't be the first James Wan movie you see on here either. This is a 2021 movie from James Wan. It's got to be one of the first movies I saw post-COVID in theaters. And I believe this movie doesn't get as much love as a lot of his other work. And I understand why. James Wan has had a lot of good franchises under his belt. Saw, Insidious, Conjuring, to name a few. I really enjoy the Lights Out movie, and I think that movie is much better than Malignant. Malignant's a good movie, but it has an excellent twist. And the twist here is that the killer that was walking weird and funny and backwards, turns out it was a conjoined twin who takes over the body of Madison, the lead character, and actually commits the murders. That twist was so good. Saw this movie in theaters the first time. Audible gasp from the audience, again, like The Village. And found it to be a pretty good twist. Anyway, moving on. Number 8, Orphan. This is an 2009 film, I believe. Now, the twist here with Orphan is there's this 9-year-old girl that's being adopted by families, and she slaughters them. Except she's not actually 9 years old. She's a 33-year-old dwarf, and who passes off as a 9-year-old. And you'll see clues and hints as the movie goes on. She sexualizes herself more. Weird things happen. She has some adult things go on. And when the reveal happens, you're just like, holy crap. This is not only one of those twists that is kind of creepy because of what the nature of it is. It's creepy because this could be a real situation. Imagine a dwarf serial killer who decides to pose as a child, finds a way to get adopted, and then slaughters families. Like, that's insane. But could actually happen, which makes it even creepier. Number 7, we're back to M. Night Shyamalan. The Village. Now, like I said with some movies before, this movie is very mid. It's very blah. It's very not one of the better M. Night Shyamalan movies. However, I believe it's the second best twist ever due to the ending. And this is what made me think M. Night Shyamalan should do The Twilight Zone. Because the premise of this movie is they're living in what appears to be the 18th century, and they're worried about monsters, and they're worried about that. Turns out the monsters aren't real, but that's not really the full twist. The full twist happens when the girl steps out into the highway, and you find out, oh, they're actually living in modern life, and, you know, they hide away from modern society, and they pretend there's monsters around to keep people entrapped. Which is an insane twist, and I love it. It feels very Twilight Zone-esque, which is why it's got to be on the list. Alright, next up. Number 6, The Mist. I'll be honest, I did not care for this movie, but this twist is absolutely heart-wrenching. So the main character thinks monsters are coming out of the mist, and right before they do, he euthanizes his son, he kills his comrades, and then you find out it's the military there for a rescue. Wow. They come through the mist and it's the military there for a rescue. Talk about, it was a heart-wrenching scene. Talk about a crazy way to end a movie and leave you feeling like you just got punched in the gut. Number 5, The Others. This is an 2001 film. Now, it appears as though there's this family that's being haunted, and at some point in the movie, they figure out actually we're the ghost and they're alive. We're the ones haunting them, and we didn't know it. Interesting perspective. You know, the idea that maybe that's what's going on with ghosts is pretty interesting. That they don't know they're dead and they think the alive ones are the ghosts, or maybe we're dead and they're the alive ones. Right? It's really interesting, the dynamic there. And it was really ahead of its time movie as well for that reason. And I had to include it on the list. But these top 4, these are the Mount Rushmores of twists, in my opinion. Number 4 is Friday the 13th. Some of you may not even realize this, but in the first Friday the 13th, the killer was not even Jason Voorhees. I don't believe he even got his hockey mask until the 4th movie. But a lot of people have pigeonholed this and memory hold this. The killer in the first movie is the mother. They didn't really take much of a supernatural element with Friday the 13th. It was the mother posing as Jason. So, and when that was revealed, that was quite the twist. First of all, there wasn't a whole lot of female serial killers by 1980 portrayed in movies to begin with. And secondly, we were completely thrown for a loop by the fact it was the mother and not Jason himself. Now, Jason would later go on to become the serial killer of the series. But for this first iteration alone, the reason why it's still one of my favorite movies is that twist right there, which I thought was a pretty excellent twist. And now Friday the 13th is a good movie, not just for the twist, though. It started a franchise and had a lot of good slasher moments. So there's more to it than the twist. And there's movies that in that franchise that some people laud as better. Like maybe the second one might be better. But anyway, moving on. Number 3, Saw. Now, this first movie was a bit rough here and there, a little bit with the acting, but it was a new premise. Believe it or not, at one point, back then in 2004, Saw felt like something new. It felt like something fresh. James Wan really burst on the scene with this movie. And the twist at the end was absolutely epic. Two guys were chained up in a room, and it was brutal. You had to do certain things to get out. Someone cut their leg off. But you find out the dead body that's in the middle of the floor the entire time is Jigsaw himself. Somehow staying there, laying there still. And then he gets up and he walks out the door, leaving the man still chained up to starve to death. An interesting twist. Saw was never better than its first movie, in my opinion. Saw 2 and 3 are really good. After that, the franchise was up and down and a little silly. Just felt a little silly just doing it year after year. But that first movie, that first twist was special. And that brings me to number 2, which honestly is one of my all-time favorite horror movies in general. And the twist is definitely part of it, but not all of it. But number 2 is Psycho. Now, the twist here is obviously Norman Bates' mother was already dead. He dresses in drag and kills the victims. They were leading you to believe during the movie, and it may seem cliche now, and you may realize it now, but during the movie, and I'm sure people in 1960 were shocked by this twist. They thought, well, maybe Norman's just a weird kid, or a weird, young adult, and his mom's the one that comes down and does the killings. His mom's a jerk. He was hearing voices in his head. He was schizophrenic. They touched on a lot of themes in this movie that were interesting and were obviously way ahead of their time. This movie's way ahead of its time, guys. I want you to keep in mind, this is 8 years before Night of the Living Dead. This is way before Color. This is 20 years before Friday the 13th that we talked about a little bit ago. So yeah, this movie was way ahead of its time. It was a pioneer, and its twist was part of it. So absolutely number 2 on my list. And that brings me to number 1, which should be a surprise to no one. It's The Sixth Sense. The 1999 film that pretty much scared me to death when I was young. Especially the scene where I see dead people. And they have these scenes where dead people pop up, right? But the twist here is so good. The twist is remembered better than how good the movie was. The movie was good. The twist was excellent. It is M. Night Shyamalan's best movie, for sure. And his best twist. So the twist here is the doctor that's helping the boy was a ghost the whole time. So the boy that could see dead people was seeing him, the child psychologist. Now, throughout the movie, there's a whole bunch of clues and hints. I mean, first of all, one of the opening scenes is he gets shot and then he wakes up. Kind of weird. Maybe that should have been the dead giveaway. It absolutely isn't. You could challenge anybody who hasn't heard about the twist or seen the movie before to watch this movie. They will not know. They will not get that the child psychologist, Bruce Willis, played by Bruce Willis, was dead the entire time. When you watch the movie and you see that happen, there's no way they can get away with that. Rewatch it a second time, you think, well, he's got to interact with this character or that character or this character, and it's just so cleverly shot where he doesn't have to interact with humans. And you think his wife is divorcing him. No, his wife was grieving him because he passed. Because the whole plot, one of his plot points was his wife wasn't talking to him. His wife was leaving him. That wasn't what was going on. She was missing him and she couldn't talk to him. And the fact that this movie went on the whole time without you knowing it till towards the end is insane. And it still just blew my mind. I even knew as a kid, this is special, this is crazy. This twist, it made me go made me understand twist for the first time. It made me seek them out. It made me it made me a horror fan, to be honest. This movie really made me a horror fan because, to be quite frank, I didn't really watch a whole lot of horror movies before 1999. I saw Wes Craven's New Nightmare in the mid '90s. Obviously, I was into Scream and Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street, but this really cemented me as a horror movie guy for the rest of my life, because I realized it isn't just about the slashing, the gruesome looks, or the jump scares. There's real story to be told. There's real, like, twists that could happen, and anything could happen in these worlds. They just tell great stories. So a lot of times when I watch horror movies now, it's not because I'm getting scared about anything. It's just I enjoy the stories they tell more often than a movie that isn't a horror movie. And doing twists like that is part of it. So anyway, guys, that's my list. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. What are some of your favorite horror movie twists? And until next time, this is your boy RJ signing out. Have a good one. Peace.